So Pulsechain has higher throughput, better security, lower environmental impact to the point of nearly none, is a newer coin with more features, is faster than Bitcoin. But Bitcoin has an $800 billion market cap. Pulsechain doesn't. Why? Well, we're new. We're on the way, right? Things will get better, in my opinion. So like, oh, and for you listening, is that a forward-looking price statement? Nope, not a forward-looking price statement, not financial advice. So we've got a wonderful network. We've got wonderful features. We've got wonderful airdrop. There's, you can do lending on the Pulsechain network. There's projects that let you borrow coins. There's projects that there's stable coins on Pulsechain. There's all types of stuff people have launched on Pulsechain. Guys, the network is good. Works great. Oh, and the bridge is free too. Somebody set the bridge to 0 fee so that using the bridge has no fee, both directions. So if you go to bridge.pulsechain.com, there's no fees currently. In, out, either way, no fees. Now you're going to pay a fee on the Ethereum network. Nothing you can do about that. That's Ethereum's side, right? So you got a great network and you got a ton of free coins. And it's worked flawlessly for 7 months. Go make it great, guys. Launch stuff on it, use it, build fiat on-ramps, make a money transmitter in your state, make a licensed money transmitter in your state, and you can, make the community better. Like,
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another awesome day on Pulsechain. Yesterday we talked about Pulsechain, are you accumulating? And many of you said you were. Now today we're going to talk about the shocking truth about Pulsechain, which is kind of looking at the other side of it. So stay tuned for that later on when we get up to the Pulsechain update. Obviously before that we're going to get into the stock market and the crypto generally, and then plow into the Pulsechain. So get in there folks and get the chat lively, that's for sure. Let's welcome a few people in the house. We got Sandy Beach, I think, in there early. Hello, Hex Token everybody. Good to see you, Sandy Beach. And yes, day 4 of the ab challenge there. No post, but keep it going, guys. Keep that, I guess you base it on the last ab exercise put out there from Sandy Beach. What else have we got? Brennan in the house there. Morning, Superman and family. Good to see Brennan. Welcome. And, of course, who else is here? We got Wookie as well. Hashtag missing. We got Joey Torres. What's up? Hey, good to see you, Joey. Hi from here to everybody. And Sinful Believer says we can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. That's right. That's how it goes. All right. So that is pretty much it. Let's get straight into the stock market. We'll probably have a quick session today, but let's move on into that. And bam, and let's go. And so the stock market today, Dow ends losing streak as rising political tensions bite. And of course, what day is it? This would be Thursday, US trading. And we can see the Dow Jones there is down 1.35%. So that is a pretty decent down day. And of course, yesterday we had a small up day. So a big down day today, 1.23% on the S&P, down to 5,147. And yeah, that 1.35% on Dow Jones down 530%, 30 points, down to 38,596. That's quite a big day. And remember, the Dow Jones is the top 30 industrials inside that index. The NASDAQ there is down 1.4%. It's down 228 points, down to 16,049. So definitely a decent down day there for the stock market. S&P 500 is a volatility index is up 14%. So basically risk off, right? And the US dollar, after having quite a decent little ride over the last week or two, that is back down a little bit there, just very subtle at 103.995, but still pretty elevated there on the US dollar. And of course, you know that a lot of countries around the world trying to undermine the US dollar, like Russia and China and places like that. Let's have a good look at the commodities. We got West Texas and Brent oil. West Texas is up 0.5% to 45 cents to $87. Brent oil there is up slightly as well, 5 cents to $91.11. Obviously, with geopolitical risk, sort of takes a bit more interest in the oil prices. Gold is still at $2,308, holding there, and of course, silver is down 1%, 28 cents at $26.96. So silver has had a very good time, hasn't it? So silver's been doing pretty well. What do we say? The poor man's gold. Yeah, that's been doing pretty well. Up at $27. Really, really nice to see that. Will it ever get to those big breakouts up to $125? We will see. Maybe it's going to be a one-off wonder when we get the interest rates pivots. Maybe that's in the US dollar devaluing. That's probably the main catalyst for something as dramatic as that. We did have a little bit of economic data and things like that out. Basically, the Fed, they're just holding off a little bit there. So maybe June or July is the Fed rate cut there. We had a bit of stuff about jobless stuff. I think we covered that yesterday as well. In fact, I think this is new data, but there we go. Thursday, the claims were rising 9,000, seasonally adjusted 221,000 for the week ended March 30th. This was above the 214,000 expected. So, U.S. economy showing quite a bit of resilience there in the initial jobless claims. So, so far, so good. Looks like we will have that soft landing at this stage. That being said, of course, everything's lagged. And so, yeah, you just never know when it finally falls. All right, that is that on the stock market and economic news. Bitcoin, though, has had a nice pushback, man. $68,316, up 3%. Bitcoin dominance has increased as well, 51.78% over everything else. So that's pretty cool. We can also see Bitcoin Cash is up as well, and Wrap Bitcoin following Bitcoin, of course. We got Ethereum at the moment is $3,327. That's pretty flat, just up slightly at the moment. So Bitcoin making the move again as we get closer and closer to the Bitcoin halving. That's pretty much it. Everything else is mostly slightly green with a few little red dotted around. Let's jump closer into the Bitcoin numbers. So here we are on Coinbase here. We've got the Bitcoin price. The low of the day, 65,073. The high of the day, 69,367. Huge range there. And what's that, 4,350 bucks or so. That is the range. And of course, we're currently at the top end of that at the moment, well above the 50 moving average there at 63,139, looking pretty good. And as you guys know, we're just slowly, counting it down day by day, getting closer to the Bitcoin halving. Man, oh man, 15 days away, almost 2 weeks. OMG. And of course, everyone waits for this, every 4 years. They're waiting for this. So pretty amazing. So yeah. And of course, the block reward is going to go down from about 900 Bitcoin a day down to 450 a day. So that's going to be huge, cutting off future supply, less dumping on the market. So let's see what happens after that. We may have a quiet month afterwards, maybe a bit of a profit-taking month afterwards, and then take off right after that. Or we might see something unusual, or maybe not so unusual, but what we saw 2 cycles ago for the Bitcoin halving, and just rally out of the gate, because we've got those Bitcoin ETFs, right? And Bitcoin ETFs have been doing very well indeed. And so, yeah, if we exclude Grayscale in particular, doing extremely well. And that's just the beginning, this early time. We see that, the ARK CEO talking about Bitcoin heading up eventually, maybe not this cycle, but eventually to $1.5 million of Bitcoin. So if you think that, maybe Bitcoin's done its run, well, you've got the ARK CEO talking about 1.5 million eventually. So maybe it's just a long-term play for retirement, right? Just accumulating some little Bitcoin sats. Of course, we're in Ethereum and altcoins and other chains. And of course, you can get a lot better X's in the shorter term. So that's kind of the main play there for a lot of people in crypto. And one way to get more Satoshis if you're looking at, if you're a Satoshi maxi there at the moment. So Bitcoin looking pretty good. Let's jump over to Ethereum. Ethereum at the moment trying to get back over that 50-day moving average. 50-day moving average is the yellow line at 3,337. We've had a high today of Bitcoin, Ethereum of $3,444 and a low of $3,251. So it's at about $190 price range there. And we're currently just in the top of the bottom half of that at 3,329. So just chilling there. Just below the 50 moving average by about $8 or something. So not far there. Like I say, Ethereum will benefit, of course, from the Ethereum halving, which is just over 2 weeks away. And we're going to move forward there to the Ethereum ETF approvals on the 23rd of May. That is still a way to go. We've still got a way to go for that, though. And how many days? 48 days. And of course, we've got a low chance of success. 25% is the probability from the top analysts. Stefan and That's just the way it goes at Bloomberg. So there we go. What have we got? The interest rate hikes after that, pivots after that, potentially 11th of June, otherwise July. So we've got about a 60% chance of that interest rate pivot in June, but 70% or so in July last time we checked. So that's probably in that range, an interest rate pivot. So that is pretty much it for the markets. We're going to jump into Pulsechain and, of course, talk about the shocking truth about Pulsechain. But before we do that, let's catch up on two more comments. Who else has jumped in? James McFadden there is in the house. Let me just mute my other computer here. And we got Wookie as well. Says, what? So you best be hitting DMs like. I have no idea what Wookie says all the time, but I like to read him out just so he doesn't feel like I've missed him out on the comments, even though I have no idea what he's talking about. Maybe this is English. Is this English? Wookie holds the real truth. Silver bars. That's good on you, Silver. That's good. Silver bars are good. What else there? Rev 10 in the house there. Hey. Good to be around. And what big need for a DCA, dollar cost averaging. Absolutely, Rev 10. Looking good. All right, let's get into it. I can't wait for, I think P-Day, dollar cost averaging is going to be pretty cool with the artificial intelligence and that coming to Pulsechain. That's going to be pretty neat, and looking forward to it. All right, let's get back into it, and bam, let's go. All right, so we've got day 328 on Pulsechain. So this is the end day results of day 328. And we've got Pulsechain here, quadruple 0985. We're currently 2% below the mean sacrifice price today, down just under 0.8% there. So pretty good place to pick up volume at the moment. Pulsechain at the moment, quadruple 0386, down 1.83%. Still a long way to go to get back to the mean sacrifice price and hold that price. And that is, we're only at 38.6% of the mean sacrifice price. So a lot of upside there to be had. Now, the buy and burn is sitting at 783.5 billion Pulsex. That's now 3.85% of all the public supply is burned off the market. And, of course, we have a whole ton of Pulsex, like we do with Pulsechain, sunk off the market through the liquidity forks, USDL, liquid loans, and Power City earn protocol. So that's in addition to these buy and burns and validated staking. We've got the incentive token at $4.87, down 2.6%. The ratio to Pulse, 49,517 Pulse per one incentive token. The total supply at the moment of incentive tokens, 28.2 million. And this is probably going to be, that's quite scarce, not a big volume. And that's going to probably become even more scarce when we have our own sort of incentive halving, probably coming up in, 37 days or so. So that's kind of the estimate of what we're expecting to see there with the reduced emissions. So it's pretty fun to see incentive price potentially get priced up because of that. So look forward to see when that happens. Hex at the moment is at 0.0983, just below 1 cent at the moment, and that is down 2.75%. So the biggest mover down is PHEX. EHEX at the moment is at 0.18 of a penny. And we've got the combined price of EHEX and PX at 1.16 cents at the moment. That is the combined price there as at the results for day 328. Now, we're talking about the shocking truth about Pulsechain, and that is this, is that people will miss out. People will miss out because we're going to probably take, a good period of time to, get weak hands out. Richard Hart talks about a year. And of course, that's coming up soon. So let's get to the Pulsechain chart and just discover that, explore that a bit more. So here at the moment, we've got the Pulsechain chart. Let's go all the way back to the beginning here of the chart. And, we launched it, 12th of May, something like that. And here we got the chart running from the 16th. And we have had the big rally. We had the big SEC sell-off event. We've had all these low periods of time. We then suddenly had a big, nice hyper rally, particularly for Pulsex and incentive token. And we had a big rally up there. We've sort of chugged our way back up, all the way back up to the top here, 0.0018. We even got back over 0.002. So almost getting back reminiscence of the beginning of Pulsechain launch. And then, of course, we've been sold off all back down to the main sacrifice price, just below at the moment. And as you guys know, we did kind of hit my mark the other day at quadruple 09 and bounced off that for the time being. So the RSI is definitely oversold, and so things are kind of looking pretty good. But we've had a lot of weekends go out and people having to hold on until the Magic Carpet Ride really does play out. We've seen a couple of big moves by the Magic Carpet Ride, but people have got to have patience and accumulate and hang on. So that's really the shocking truth about Pulsechain, is that you do have to have some grit. You have to have some a commitment, have some hodling to make it through. You remember, if you remember Hex had many days. Now Hex had many days where people got fudded out, big payday sell-off event and things like that. There's things like that people fall away from, and they go, oh, it's all over a rover. We've seen even influencers out there capitulate. We've seen large community members out there capitulate. And of course, they're the ones that are going to miss out, right? Because they just couldn't hold on long enough, right? And so that's the shocking truth about Pulsechain. You do need to hold on. And of course, yesterday we talked about potentially accumulating more. Well, you get this price. When the price goes down, you get a lot more volume. A good way of DCAing, dollar cost averaging there. And that's something that people have to think about. Now, let's get into some of the forward-looking position here about when the Magic Carpet Ride might really play out on a old Pulsechain. And of course, we've already seen a couple opening moves from that. We've got potentially other things happening behind the scenes. And of course, we've got the Bitcoin halving coming up here in 15 days. So that's going to be a huge event for all of crypto, including Pulsechain. And then, of course, we've right down the low on the RSI. Look at that, right down the low on the RSI, heading into the Bitcoin halving. Isn't it interesting? Interesting potential there. So we've got potential for upside. Could be pretty amazing. The other side of it, of course, is the 1 year for Pulsechain coming up here in May. I've got the 12th of May here. I mean, you can have a day either side. But here is coming up for 1 year Pulse. Get the weekends out. So we've still got a bit of time to move into there. And so who knows when we might get some signal indication here of when Pulsechain really starts to move up and to the right. Now, obviously, there's also the Make a DAO theory out there about the Magic Carpet Ride, and of course, all the stable coins, which we're going to look at too. So there's lots of things happening behind the scenes. At the moment, of course, we're getting multiple meme coins being pumped in the meantime. And of course, that is probably the most speculative aspect to crypto. But some of them do some amazing stuff. So people are trying to play those and win. But in the meantime, this is kind of the outlook we've got at the moment. So we're getting closer and closer, as we say, to potentially some Magic Carpet Ride kickoffs. Obviously, 15 days to the Bitcoin halving, and then maybe 37 days or so to the end of the first year of Pulsechain. And then maybe it's off to the races after that. But we will see. Maybe we're going to have one more capitulation event. I don't know. But at this stage, we definitely hit some nice support areas around the mean sacrifice price for Pulsechain and a low RSI. So so far, so good at this moment. And of course, we've had people down here when the market was going down. We had more people kind of leaving the X system, complaining on X social platform, things like that. And saying that they've moved into XRP and crazy things like that. And so that's just the way it goes before we move up big time, right? Remember, the value of price moves up at a square, right? So things can turn around pretty quickly when you flood the ecosystem with money. So look forward to that. All right, so that is the play for Pulsechain at the moment. PulseX, similar story, of course. Currently at just chilling around here the last 5 days, just chilling in this zone. That's pretty cool for accumulation. And of course, let's move past those two. Incentive token, though, has been the talk of the town, and maybe this in 37 days becomes really scarce, and maybe it really starts to hyper pump on here. Some people have got some pretty big price forecasts for the incentive token, and maybe hundreds of dollars, maybe thousands. Who knows? It's definitely got potentiality for a lot of upside. It is the income, of course, for PulseX. And that said, of course, it will run in a bull market. Of course, it can do the opposite in a bear market, right? So it can go the opposite way in a bear market condition. So just remember, there is a bullish case for the bull market, but there's also a very bearish case for the bear market. It's just the way things go. And of course, that impacts the yields on PulseX regardless of lower mission profile from year to year. So that's kind of the play there at the moment on incentive. Let's jump over to Hex, PHEX at the moment. Now, PHEX has been the real laggard. But like I say, once we get over 3 cents combined, I think it's off to the races with PX. And at the moment, it's just an accumulation zone. Look at it. We've had one. If we go all the way back here, we've got one accumulation zone. 2 accumulation zones. We're basically at the top of the 3rd accumulation zone, and we've got that time running in before we get up, that 37 days before we get up to that 1 year mark. And of course, that 1 year mark is about 22 days after the Bitcoin halving. So it's a pretty good time zone. It certainly fits well with what happened last Bitcoin halving, where it was sort of a bit of a sell-off, choppy for a month, and then boom time after that for a very long time. I think it was it 9 months or more? It was pretty long. And so there we go at the moment on the old PHEX. And EHEX, of course, likewise, they're down to 1,700. Just definitely oversold there at the moment. And of course, that will get dragged up with the old PHEX, especially now you've got, the BankX over in the 9mm DEX. Sorry, was it not in the 9mm? It's in the, the 9mm DEX. I was correct about that. Yeah, in the 9mm DEX there, sitting between 0.007 cents and 0.001.7 cents. So that is sitting over there at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see how that changes things around. All right, let's jump over to, let's go back to the Pulsechain. So yeah, really the key is holding on, having diamond hands, accumulating while you can, and then thank yourself later. Thank yourself later. That's kind of the play there. All right, let's jump over to the gas prices and have a look at that. We've got 484,000 beats at the moment. So we're probably about 150% over normal way that we normally have there for the beats. We're at 2/10 of a penny, about twice the price of a Pulsex swap. 1/10 of a penny for a Pulsecoin transfer. Sorry, I mean 2 cents there for Pulsex swap. 1/10 of a penny for a Pulsecoin transfer, and 3/10 of a penny for a PRC20 transfer. Where Gwei on Ethereum at the moment is ridiculously low, 12 Gwei. So if you've got to do any end stakes or anything, there's your low Gwei for you. And we're 836 times cheaper than Ethereum at the moment, even with that super low Gwei over on Ethereum at the moment. So 2 cents for a Pulsex swap and $14.23 for a Uniswap at the moment from based on these numbers. So let's jump over to the validators, have a quick look at that. Validators at the moment sitting pretty steady, right? 49,317, 1.58 trillion off the market with validators. That's in addition, remember, to the liquid loans, so which is pretty cool. Let's go to the bridge and see how much money is over the chain. $124.3 million, and we got $40.4 million of DAI, $22 million of USDC, $15.8 million of USD Tether. We've got $2.3 million of wrapped Bitcoin and $29.6 million of ETH at the moment. In terms of native coins, we've got 4 million Coast coins, and of course we can't wait for them to relaunch with all their service providers. It's going to be a much better service when they do launch. We've got USDL there at $17 million and $8 million for PXDC there as well. And I know that a lot of people have been on those 2 liquidity forks have been tricked out by redemptions and things like that. So can be a bit confusing when people are on there and getting liquidated with those. Well, I shouldn't use the word liquidated because there's a different term for that, but redeemed on there. So that's caused a bit of a stir as well. All right, let's finally move on here. That is the day for day 328, and of course day 329 is about to start as we head towards countdown towards 1 year. Gonna be a lot of fun. Now, the combined price of EHEX PHEX, as you guys see here, is at 1.16 cents. And I didn't talk about this before, but we really want to get over this 3 cent mark. Once we do, I'm sure it's off to the races after that. So stay tuned for the old Hex there, particularly PHEX, right? Now, some of the other stuff that's been happening is the stable coins. Man, oh man, have they been rallying. PDAI yesterday did some amazing stuff. So these are the copies, right? These are the copies of DAI. And if you've been out there reading about the maker theory, and of course, trying to move this PDAI and everything else up to $1, get it collaterally backed up on the old Pulsechain. And remember, all the code got forked over, but we are missing a few components. Obviously, an Oracle is one of them. And we have got the Fetch Oracle, but apparently it hasn't. I haven't looked at the latest update from Crypto Crazy, but that hasn't rolled out as expected. And at the moment, we've got the price overnight. This is on the hourly chart here on a PDAI went up to make new highs at a 7/10 of a penny. OMG. Now the chart says everything, right? The chart pulls in all the information, and the chart's telling us that this is being priced up. Look at this. That's some crazy stuff right there, right? Like previously, we had been like excited about this 2800th of a penny, but now, and we got all the way back down to 0.0026, and then we're way back up here now, breaking new ground, and big volume coming in as well, obviously. But we breached out. Look at that on the daily. We breached out at 0.7 of a penny. Amazing stuff here as we go. So pretty cool. So we got stable coins that aren't stable coins, but will they be stable coins one day? That's kind of the play there on Pulsechain. And we've got the meme coins rallying quite a bit as well. There's new meme coins every day. We're going to check that out in a minute. But that's where we are at the moment. We're back down to 5,700 of a penny. And watch this chart. It's going to be fun to see. Obviously, the RSI got overbought here. And it's just cooled off right back down to 47. Let's have a look at the traders view, though. That's their 4-hourly chart. This is here on PDI. And we got right up there. Look at that. The RSI is so good. It really does help you to not buy at the top of the market and wait for it to cool off. So it did cool off. We're down to 57, and maybe it might bounce off to 50 or something. But so far it's looking pretty good. There's also got horizontal support, right? And you've got 1 and 2 horizontal supports there on the daily. The 4-hourly, and that's on in March as well. So we've got there March and March here. And so it looks like we've got a bit of horizontal support there. Let's see if it bounces from here. Might not need to come back down to 50. May just be able to bounce off the mark where it is at the moment of just above 5,500 of a penny, and see if it can zigzag its way up to glory, to that glorious 1 cent. We shall see. On the daily, the RSI has got a bit of room to move still. So it's doable. It's doable to get to 1 cent. Maybe it faces resistance there because the RSI will probably get overheated, 70 or 80. So keep an eye out on that. And then it will have to come down to, maybe come back below 1 cent again, and then go to try and go above 1 cent. Once 1 cent's in play, you guys know it. 10 cents is in play. That's what happens. Once 1 cent's in play, 10 cents is in play. It will take a little bit of time to get there, but, between 1 and 10 cents is always faster, right? But we'll need some consolidation in the RSI to do that. Doing some magical stuff is the old PDI. Speculative, so just remember that. USDC and USD Tether following up in kind. They're below, but they're still following up in kind there. You got 3,700th of a penny for USDC, and of course 3,400 there of a penny for USD Tether. Now these are just lagging, but they're following up as well. So some interesting moves in these stable coin copies, and of course some people have gone further than that with the MakerDAO theory, and of course the big account that seems to be doing that along with Atropa, right, with the burning mechanisms there. So let's move on from the stable coins. We've covered the heart coins. We've covered the stable coins. We've got the derivatives for Hex as well. We haven't talked about that much, but pretty much we got Pulsechain, Icosa, Hedron up at 9% and 1% for Hedron there. So it's a nice little update today for them. In terms of, I want to talk about PZen today. PZen got pumped. Boy, did it get pumped today. $50,000 came in today, and someone bought the hell out of PZen today. And as you guys know, X1 Chain is coming up. And of course, there's going to be a token drop for hexagons over on X1 Chain, which is going to be the first AI, artificial intelligence consensus chain. And it's a big deal there from Jack Levin. And of course, maybe some people are front running that move, right? They're trying to pick up lots of PZen value, knowing that with the party auctions as well that come up to get the XN coin on X1 Chain, that you need this could hyper pump, right? So the bigger the value of that auction, the more points the more value, the higher the price, the more value you get. So it's sort of self-fulfilling from that point of view. Maybe someone's front running that move with a big $50,000 buy. Now, obviously, the markets decide to sell in on that. So let's go to the hourly view. You can see the hourly view there. Let me just put that on log scale. Big pump coming in. Big pump. Got all the way up to 807,000 and has been pushed all the way back down to 2,400. That's all those sellers waiting to sell on that move, right? People that have been accumulating. Oh, well, it's too good to be true. Now, we might get a little bounce here at 2,400. It's certainly a good place in the zone there. I haven't got the RSI indicator in, but let's add that in now and have a look at that. We're going to go to the 4-hourly view instead. And so there we are at the moment. Yeah, they're not pulling up an RSI on this, but let's go to the hourly there. Hourly RSI says that we're at 55. So yeah, let's get a look at that. Might have a reasonable support chance here at 2,400, and we'll see how we go. So it's one of those things. Waiting for the X1 chain. It could be a really nice speculative buy for the future, picking up billions and billions or hundreds of billions of PCN. It's going to be fun to see. Definitely an opportunity for X1, which could be, maybe it's coming out in May, something like that. We'll see what happens there. All right, so that is some of the hot stuff. Let's go to the rest of the market and have a look at some of the speculative plays. Now we've had this DGN8 launch today. That's one of these really speculative plays. Obviously, all these meme coins popping up everywhere. 55,500% there. Only small liquidity, $2,400. $400. But doing some interesting things here. And you guys know it is highly speculative. So even though I'm talking about it, it's just because it's the big mover today. And that's the daily candle. Let's go to the hourly candle. See how long it's been operating. Yeah, so made a nice little high here. Could actually pump again from here. Very low liquidity and low market cap. We'll see whether this little baby thing can take off. Generally, baby pumps don't go anywhere, but maybe with the ape name, the DGN8 name, maybe that's people like that, and they play for that. As you can see, PZN was the next one. We just talked about that, up 123%. We've got another meme one here, Lambo, up 51% there. SolidX, the big star, influencer star from Randy Alaska and a few other influencers, that is at $22.77, up 50%. So that thing has been just pumping and pushing higher, despite the little pullbacks where people might sell down. It's now up to $22.76, almost back to all-time high, which I only made about 7 hours ago, and it got up to $23.88. So there we go. Another one of Randy Alaski's tokens here. Obviously, that was fallout from the Soy Somi fallout, and they just launched a new token. That's what you do in crypto, I guess. This is the way it works. So, yep. What else we got there? Gifford Ware there, another little meme coin here. Well, it's actually not too bad, 72K liquidity, 50% today as well. So there's lots of speculative stuff out there. Pulse Trailer Park up 27%. Teddy Bear up 23%. So there is some big movers there, double digits. Hey, Mintra. Mintra was a bit of a dog's breakfast yesterday, but it's turned around today. It's up 13%. So good on you, Mintra. One of the big NFT markets, and of course, a very slick one at that. But that's Gerardo, the influencer there, that's launched that there, and that's up 13%. BBC token for 9 inches up nice too, 12.6% to 5 cents. So it's doing okay. It's doing okay down in that sub 10 cent range. What else is looking interesting? Alien, related to PDGC, the little DAO project. Alien there burns PDGC. That's up 9.4% as well. Funnily enough, the parent one, let's call that the child. Alien is the child, and the parent is the Grays. The Grays currency there up 8%. Let's have a quick look at PDGC and see where that looks on the daily. Some pretty interesting stuff. So look at that. Not too far away from the high. The high was up at 0001, funnily enough. How about that? The mean sacrifice price for it. No, I'm just kidding. But it's there we go, 405. So it's got about, just jump back up to there. So that is it, to just double in price. What else is looking pretty interesting? Those are kind of the leaders there at the moment on the old Pulsechain. We're doing about $40.6 million in 24-hour volume, 418,000 transactions, which isn't too bad. I guess I would like to see 1 million plus transactions a day. That'd be pretty nice. That would push us up maybe to 80 million. Yeah, let's see if we go there. I think in the future, once people have once Pulsechain really starts pumping, we'll see some big numbers on Pulsechain. And the shocking truth about Pulsechain will come true. Those with the diamond hands, those with the fortitude to accumulate when the prices are down, will laugh themselves silly in the bull market. So a lot of fun there. All right, that's pretty much it. 34 minutes. I said it was going to be a shorter day than normal. Let's get into some of these final comments here and see what we got there. Yeah, can you believe it? ARK, the ETF ARK, talking about 1.5 million for Bitcoin. Man, how high will that take the rest of the market, especially quality assets, right? It's going to be a lot of fun to see. Let's see here. Who else has jumped in here? We got, I really agree with Rev 10 here. Yeah, big need for DCA, dollar cost averaging. Absolutely, Rev 10. Well said. We got Tin Top in the house there as well. What's up, Mexicans? Good to see you, Tim Top. Big shout out to you. Brennan says, you and me both, Superman, says Brennan. Yeah, talking about Wookiee there, understanding what he's saying. High expectations is shocking truth. Catching up now. Hey, good to see high expectations. Welcome to the chat. We got StakeX is in house there. PDI pegs to $1. I think it has to eventually. Hey, the market's telling us that the market sort of prices in all that information, and it's going up and to the right. It's hitting for 1 cent. You know, 1 cent, 10 cents is in play. 10 cents, I guess $1's in play. It's just the way it goes. So yeah, it's certainly the chart is going up. It's certainly a lot of fun to watch. Hey, look, a meme coins pump. Why not a PDI? Why not a PUSDC or PUSD tether? So if you are a bit delayed, maybe getting into some of those secondary ones is an opportunity too. We've got Brian in house there. What's up, folks? Good to see you, Brian. Now, as you know, guys know, if you're going to speculate on things like meme coins or stable coins that are trying to stay a peg, remember just to use risk capital. Don't use your core assets. Never a good idea, right? You can lose everything. So just be really prudent with your financial management and seek financial advice if you need to. Be careful out there. What else there? Wookie says you could just say what? Party super. Yeah. Okay. What's that? I don't even know what that is. Are they little people? I can't even see what they are. You mean golfers? Are they golfers? StakeX says solid X. Wink, wink. Shh, don't tell anyone. Yeah. Well, the chart's sort of speaking for itself, isn't it, today? Archie, yes, in the house there. Evening, Hex Token. Hey, evening to you, Archie. Simple Believer says accumulate and chill. I like that one. That's some wise words there from Simple Believer. CC in the house as well. Hey, everybody. Good to see CC. Roger says P stablecoins are killing it. They are indeed. The Pulsechain stablecoins are killing it, doing some pretty amazing numbers. Roger's in the house says adding P to the beginning of coins makes them sound really funny. It does indeed. P maker, P pin you, P die. It gives them a meme boost. It does do that indeed. Robert Online's in the house there. Hey, Robert, good to see you as well. Brian saying half day, boss. Yeah, half day. Hey, look, that's all we've got to talk about today was the topics I've talked about. I was going to play a video at the end there, but it's quite long, so I was going to edit that out first. So you might see me play that a little bit later or post it a bit later. Archie's in the house there. Hey, Archie, good to see you. Archie's been doing amazing, keeping us up to date with everything happening in Jacob's ecosystem. As you guys know, that is some of the best DeFi on Pulsechain. We got PulsePot, Pulse Prediction. You can earn Predict tokens. Get out there on that. You can bet on like March Madness and other games. Pretty amazing. Big sporting events. Looking good there on Pulse Predict. We've got BNB Pot out there as well. It's going to get an upgrade soon. We've got TYZZ is going to be launching soon as well. And then I'm really hoping, looking forward to it, the PUSD Algo, the big stablecoin, algorithmic coin. And of course, you can get a 90% bonus with the referral link in the video description. Check that out because I'm hyper bullish about that. That's going to be much later, probably later in the end of the year if we can get to that $1 million target. Looking forward to that. James McFadden in the house there. Where are your comments coming from? I can't see any here in chat, says James. You're over on Superman Crypto. I guess that's what's happening there, but they should be over on Superman Crypto. I haven't got that view up at the moment, James, but always a pleasure here, James. James, one of my longest supporters over on Superman Crypto. Always a big shout out to him. Big shout out indeed. All right, we're going to wrap up today. 38 minutes into the piece. I'm going to be doing another video today on Superman Crypto. Yesterday, I covered another one. Superman Crypto is my general crypto and DGen channel. And yesterday, I covered TitanX ecosystem. If you want to check that out, go check that out on Superman Crypto. Today, I will be covering Zen X1, Q as well, and many other things out there, DBZen. You don't want to miss that if you're in that ecosystem as well. That's on Superman Crypto. So look forward to that video later today. James says, there is another channel I can check out. Yes, there is, James. I'm on Hex Token channel. I'm streaming to 3 channels at the moment. Hex Token channel. I'm streaming to Superman Crypto, and I'm streaming to Pulsechain X, 3 channels. So yeah, there's different ones here. And you can find all the links. If you want to get into Discord, you can find the links to that. Maybe Brian or somebody can post the links in the chat there before I wrap up here. We got Toxic Hedgehog in the house there. Good to see you, Toxic Hedgehog. Woohoo! Sandy says, thank you. You're most welcome. And yeah, that is the channel. I think that's the Hex Token one, is it? Yeah, you can subscribe to that one, James. But I am streaming to all 3 at the same time. Pretty magical, right? All right, let's play out the Magic Carpet Ride video For those that are willing to handle the shocking truth, and that is you've got to hodl and accumulate for the win. Let's play this out here as well. Peace out, everybody. Catch you guys again on the next live stream. I'll be in Discord, of course. Links in the video description. Catch you then. And, of course, if you want to join the Strategy Club, join up because I will be running a session tomorrow, multi-chain opportunities. And, of course, you don't want to miss some of that. Potentially the biggest meme coin in the world as well, which I've just posted in Strategy Club. Yeah, don't want to miss out that alpha. All right, take care, everybody. Bye for now.
In theory, if someone were a billionaire and they had like all this money, why wouldn't they just buy more of the thing they liked instead of dumping the thing they liked? Like if Bezos bought shares in Amazon, would you be pissed off? If Apple does a stock buyback and they buy more of their own shares in their company back from the public, which is a way to turn earnings into yield for the shareholders, do you get mad and yell at Apple? And so we had to come up with a word for this fan fiction fantasy, which is the opposite of a rug pull, called a magic carpet ride. And so if you're worried about risk of a rug pull, what weighted value have you given the risk of a magic carpet ride? And it's just hilarious to me.
Today is Kathy Wood. Kathy unfortunately could not join us in person, so she's joining us remotely. Kathy is the founder and CEO of ARK Invest. Kathy, can you hear and or see us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Amazing. There we go. All right.
Yay.
Dramatic entrance. Let's start the conversation with your current assessment of the Bitcoin ETFs. You guys were the first fund, I believe, on Wall Street to buy into the Grayscale GBTC fund, but now we have ETFs. And so how do you think it's going?
Well, I think by all accounts is going very well. In the aggregate, we're thrilled with our positioning, and actually somewhat humbled, I must say. So I think we're number 3 if you take out Grayscale. So very happy with that. Very happy with the reception. And you know, I think the interesting thing that happened when you have 11 ETFs approved at the same time, that's never happened before, the amount of energy and research communication that has gone out around this spot Bitcoin ETF opportunity, has been unmatched. And I think it's done a great service for Bitcoin and digital assets generally, because this is just the beginning of a completely new asset class.
Now, one of the reasons that people are excited is because Bitcoin's price is going up. Some of that is because there's a lot of people going into the Bitcoin ETFs, and so demand is outstripping supply. But there's also a number of other macro factors. There's questions around interest rates, around inflation, about a potential recession incoming. How do you evaluate Bitcoin in light of these potential questions? And also, why are people buying the ETFs? Is it just the ETF alone, or are there macro factors that are driving them to buy it?
Well, as I just mentioned, I think there's been a lot of communication about what Bitcoin actually is in this new asset class, leading the charge. I know that our research team, I know Yassine is there with you, has done an amazing job, not only in the last 6 months or year, but we've had research extending back to 2014. And so, and our first white paper in 2015 when we took our first exposure. And so we've been singing the praises of Bitcoin for a long time as a new asset class. So that's a start. But I do think there are some macro factors. I know Mike mentioned this earlier. We're very focused on what's going on in the emerging markets right now. I think with time, many more people will understand that the Fed, with a 24-fold increase in interest rates over little more than a year's time, has absolutely shocked the financial system around the world. Now, many people are looking at very short-term lagging economic indicators here in the United States, primarily because the Fed is doing that. But if you look at other signals out there, there are signals that not all is well in the world. I know Mike mentioned the Naira, the Nigerian Naira, which has devalued by 2/3 since last June. Now, Nigeria is one of the wealthiest countries, oil rich in Africa. And with a new administration that's become very business friendly, I think they thought they could let the currency float, and they found out, that it has been very painful from a purchasing power point of view and from a wealth point of view. We've seen the same in Egypt. That the Egyptian devaluation was 40% at the beginning of March. So I think that there's a bit of a risk-off reason for owning Bitcoin emanating from the emerging markets. We've seen in Argentina with the new administration there. I think the currency, they made official what the black market already knew, that the currency was worth half of what it was reportedly worth. So I think we're getting those warning signals. I also think, yesterday we got the Swiss bank cutting rates, which was a big surprise. The UK turning a little more dovish. The Fed now a little more dovish. Why? What are they seeing out there? And so many people think of Bitcoin as a risk-on asset, and it certainly has traded like that over time. But we have been looking at it as both risk on and risk off. And I can tell you when we first learned that in 2015, when we took our first position in Bitcoin via GBTC, Bitcoin was about $250. And many people were making fun of us at the time, thinking, oh, they're new. We had just started our funds in October of 14. Oh, they're new. They're just trying to gain attention. This is a marketing gimmick. And so we were really on the spot. First of all, we had done a lot of research. We didn't think, we thought there was real investment merit, but we were watching like a hawk its moves. And back then, Greece was threatening to leave the European Union. And every time there was a flare up, and a fear of another European sovereign debt crisis, Bitcoin inched up. And so we've been looking at it as both a risk on and a risk off asset for quite some time. And the regional bank crisis last year confirmed that point of view, that here Bitcoin more than doubled as regional banks were imploding. So I think many people are beginning to say, as they learn what this is, wow, could it be both a risk on and a risk off asset? We think so.
Now, one of the interesting things is individuals and maybe family offices have been really excited about Bitcoin being outside of the system, kind of this alarm system that you're talking about with issues within the traditional financial system or the banking system. But what happens if Wall Street becomes a bigger player within Bitcoin? It's kind of pulling Bitcoin into the system to some degree. And so does that change the evaluation you have of the asset or how you think the industry actually develops in the coming years?
Well, it's certainly going to be adding more liquidity. That's good for price discovery. I think it's legitimizing this new asset class. So that's a very good thing. I think bringing in a new class of investor is important. And, one of the reasons that we wanted to do a Bitcoin ETF, or spot Bitcoin ETF, even after we decided that it would probably be very low fee given the way the competition was going to evolve, was, we're looking at Bitcoin as, the technology as well. It is, a financial superhighway, a public good. And so we think educating and offering access to as many people as possible in a less friction-filled way. I mean, many people just didn't want to deal with, wallets and so forth. Is going to, in hindsight, when history is written, I think is going to become a very important moment in time.
Now, you mentioned that a lot more liquidity will lead to or help in price discovery. There's a school of thought that as these large pools of capital come in and the asset gets larger, volatility will dampen and returns will actually go down. How do you think about the asymmetric return profile of Bitcoin historically, and will that continue in the future, or does that change now that there's new players and larger pools of capital?
Well, asymmetric, I mean, there aren't many assets out there that I think can claim that they're both risk on and risk off. So for that reason, we think that the return profile is going to be certainly relative to anything else out there. Yassine and team have done the returns to Bitcoin. I think this is over the life of Bitcoin, or I forget exactly. He'll tell you the period of time that we put in our big ideas, 2024. And if you look at Bitcoin's compound annual rate of return, it's 44% over that time versus I think it's 4.5% for all other assets combined. So we think the superior returns are going to be there. This is the beginning. This is just the beginning of this new asset class. Yes, and the volatility is coming down. As we look at, are we going to have the same returns from peak to trough going forward? Perhaps not. But we've come a long way, and we still think we have miles to go.
Are you all doing anything different since you first bought, or has it pretty much been Bitcoin is good, ARK is buying, holding, and that's the strategy when it comes to Bitcoin specifically?
Since we were looking for exposure very early on, and the first exposure we could find was GBTC. But then as time went on, of course, public companies became available with some exposure to Bitcoin. Coinbase, actually, we had done our second white paper with Coinbase when I think it was either doing it Series A or doing it Series B. So, we were casting far and wide for exposure to Bitcoin, and we didn't have a private fund at the time like we do now. Coinbase is now obviously a big part of our portfolio, Square as well, Robinhood. So we're looking for the companies that could potentially have that digital wallet that is probably going to become a winner-take-most opportunity. And so you've got Coinbase coming at it from the crypto angle. You've got Robinhood coming at it from, starting with equities and options, and Square with Cash App. So yes, we're doing that. We also have launched some futures funds. I think that's pretty well known, 3 of which are actively managed. So one is Bitcoin Cash, one is Bitcoin ETH, and these are all futures. And then one is Bitcoin and all of these digital wallet opportunities potentially. And then we also have private funds, a cryptocurrency fund, a crypto revolutions fund, which will take us far and beyond Bitcoin. So we're doing a lot and getting more and more excited about it. And we now have four people, including Yassine, focused on this space. And one of them, I might add, is David Puel. Many of you may know him if you are into on-chain analytics. Some of them are named after him because he created them. We hired him because we can tell a lot about the market. We do a Bitcoin monthly piece examining the health of the network and where we are in the bull or the bear market, what phase we're in. We believe we're kind of in mid-phase right now based on on-chain analytics. And on-chain analytics also help us with our trading strategies in active management.
You mentioned Coinbase. What's the investment thesis for a company that obviously is the most kind of regulated, well-known brand in the United States, but why buy the stock here, and what do you think the future holds for them?
Well, we were buying it when regulators were torpedoing it, or attempting to at least. We post our trades every day, and I think many people were very surprised to see us buying when Coinbase got the Wells notice and the stock price went down 20 or 30%. And then again, when the SEC sued them. Coinbase is the most regulatory compliant exchange in the world. Some of its competitors have gone out of business, FTX, of course, being an important one. Binance has had its share of issues as well, CZ having to step aside and the fines and so forth. And Coinbase is now going international, very importantly. And I think as the trusted company that it is here in the United States, I think it will catch hold in the rest of the world. We're seeing it with an offshore derivatives exchange, which is taken off and is doing, I think, a lot better than a lot of other people expected. And then we've got Base. They've got an underlying protocol which is generating organic demand with millions and millions of people already on it. Compared to, and it doesn't have its own token like FTT or BNB. It's truly organic demand. So I think it's got a lot going for it. And again, it's a great way to capitalize on a new asset class that is going to create a new class of asset managers. We're all going to become power users as we participate in this ecosystem. We're not going to be, as much we call ourselves an active manager, but as you say, we, buy and hold a stock if we really like it. We'll get to do a lot more in this ecosystem as an asset manager. So that's pretty exciting as well. And Yassine and his team are really gearing us up nicely for that.
When you look at Coinbase, do you feel like it could compete with the banks in terms of taking 100% or a very large portion of wallet share, or is it something that's more akin to competing with the PayPal's and kind of payments, or maybe it's something that would be competing more with like a Charles Schwab and like an investment account? Like where does it kind of slot in from a competitive standpoint with the legacy players?
Today's episode is brought to you by Supra. If you're building anything in Web3 or crypto, you likely need oracles and verifiable randomness too. Supra's offering the fastest oracles and DVRF free for 12 months at supra.com/pomp for a limited time. Supra delivers the freshest oracle price feeds across 50 plus blockchains. Be it critical price levels or liquidation triggers, beat your competition to the punch with Supra. It's as good as having the first mover advantage on every price update. Supra is more secure, easier to integrate, and runs on up to 12x lower gas per /pomp.
People are very excited. People are expecting Bitcoin to go up a lot. They're excited before it's even happened. But one of the big questions is, will the 4-year cycle persist? We obviously broke a number of rules, including we went below the previous all-time high. We're now at an all-time high before the halving. How are you thinking about 4-year cycles and or big drawdowns now that these new players are in the market?
So you're asking me, do we have a lot of weak holders, and is this going to disturb the cycle after the halving? Is that the nature of the question?
We can call them weak holders. I like that better.
We're trying to educate the new holders, but by definition, they haven't been doing this as long as we have, and so innately they are not going to have the confidence that we have that this is a new technology, a new asset class, a new monetary system, three very big, each a big idea unto itself. As far as the halving, I think what we're trying to do in terms of education, as we have this new investor base, is say, you know what? For the first time, the supply growth of Bitcoin, as it drops from 1.9% per year to roughly 0.9% per year, come April, it's hitting an important milestone. The supply of gold has been growing very long term, on average 1%. So now, I mean, it's just marginally, but it is below the supply growth of gold. So we're trying to use that to help people understand a lot of the reason that gold became such a successful asset class is because the supply growth was fairly controlled, especially relative to money growth out there in various regimes, including our own. And so I think I don't see any reason why the halving won't cause the same dynamic that it has in the previous cycles, especially as we're going out there with that message. It doesn't happen right away, April and boom, and it usually doesn't happen that way. So maybe they'll develop some impatience, but we think that it emphasizes one of the core features of Bitcoin, and the reason it is a risk-off asset as well as a risk-on asset.
How are you all thinking about the Lightning Network, some of the layer twos or some of the side chains, things that are being built on top of Bitcoin?
Yeah, well, it's interesting to watch some of the layer twos, Optimism, Arbitrum, maybe taking some share here. I think that the Lightning Network demands too much collateral. And so, this is a very creative and a creative community, and they try and find workarounds, and those seem to be finding some success. But one of the things that, in terms of the Lightning Network, that's been fascinating. Actually, this was on one of our Bitcoin brainstorms. We do a Bitcoin brainstorm every month. I think we've done it for 7 months now. Yassine and the team with Bitcoin Park. I don't know if you know Rod Ruby from Bitcoin Park, but we do this once a month. And the second one we did was just mind-blowing to me. I was wearing my economics hat, the emerging markets. I understand about those as well. But there's a convergence between artificial intelligence and Bitcoin and the Bitcoin network that's taking place now. And it's taking place in the emerging markets. We had, for those of you who know the people involved in the Lightning Network, his name is Roast Beef. He's one of the developers, and he was telling us in Africa what he was witnessing was, a completely new division of labor. We've gotten used to gig economy, that concept here in the United States with Uber and Airbnb and other things. But you can turbocharge that into the micro gig economy and AI agents using the Bitcoin network through Lightning. So it's happening, but as so much is when it comes to Bitcoin, we're not seeing it as much here as in the emerging markets where there's more of a need.
What about the mining businesses? Obviously, you all really understand Bitcoin and are enthusiastic. Are the mining businesses more or less attractive? And how do you think about them in the portfolio?
Well, we don't own any mining stocks. We have a very strong point of view on what many people criticize as the environmental damage that Bitcoin mining is doing. You know, it's interesting. I remember the dawn of the internet. Maybe not the dawn, that was DARPA, and I didn't have anything to do with it. But as it was beginning to commercialize and we were beginning to understand what it was, there was a big controversy back then as well. Do you know how much electricity the internet is taking or using? This is terrible. It's so wasteful. It's for criminals. It's for pornography. It's for all of this stuff. So this typically happens with innovation. Many people think it's for nefarious uses, and they do not see the bigger picture. I think the same is true here. And we did a seminar, I think it was in 2020, it was right after Tesla had put Bitcoin on its balance sheet and received a lot of criticism about the environmental damage that Bitcoin was doing. And so with Jack Dorsey and Elon, we pulled together, it was a half-day seminar. I know it's still up somewhere. And at that time, we had done some research saying, wait a minute, whether, utility ecosystems could use Bitcoin mining for a very important purpose. That is, all of the energy that's wasted when storage units are filled with power from the sun or the wind, use that excess and put it into Bitcoin mining and then overbuild solar and wind. And that's exactly what's happening. The other thing that's happening that is fascinating is Exxon I don't know how much it's rolled out, but I know it put Bitcoin mining machines into 6 natural gas fields around the world. And basically, instead of flaring or venting the gas, and venting is much more damaging environmentally than flaring, they put it to use in Bitcoin mining. And now companies, I know Caruso is another company doing this. So we actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think already Bitcoin mining is the energy use is more than 50% renewable, and now is contributing to building out that ecosystem.
How are you thinking about Block, formerly known as Square? They recently, or last couple of years, made a big push into Bitcoin. A lot of their revenue numbers seem to be tied to Bitcoin purchases at certain times. And now they've also come out with a hardware wallet. And so I know you guys have been excited about that business and maybe the investment thesis there.
You mean Block altogether, or the Bitcoin or the wallet?
Both work. Okay.
Sure. It's been fascinating to watch this two-sided market system, platform. In the beginning, we did our very early research on this, and we were tracking where Cash App was having success relative to PayPal. That was its main competitor at the time. And we saw that if you mapped where it was having success, it was in lower income areas. And it was growing virally. And part of the reason was this merchant consumer two-sided marketplace. So it was very early on. In fact, I remember back then, in the same quarter, Jack Dorsey and Mark Benioff talked about this concept that there would be no difference between consumers and businesses. And I heard them say it in the same quarterly call. And so I was like, wow, okay, what's going on here? And so as we traced this, we said, oh, okay, this is providing services to the unbanked, in the case of Cash App. and peer-to-peer, and enabling merchants because Block can see every second of the day how well a merchant is doing because most of the payments go through it. It was then able to help these merchants build their businesses, give them working capital loans, give them loans to make new capital investments. And then it got into payroll. And then, of course, now it's offering consumers who stay within its network very low cost banking services. So this is an ecosystem that's evolving. And you can see that with Bitcoin, this is a little bit of a Trojan horse. I know Block, or Square as it was called at the time, was just running into one regulatory obstacle after another as it tried to enter new markets. And it basically said, to heck with this, and is using Bitcoin now to get into other markets. In fact, it's shutting down or maybe selling off some of the properties it bought in Europe in order to do this. So I think this is the world of offering access to financial services broadly and as broadly and as inexpensively as possible, and going global doing it. And it's very interesting when we try and, again, this is all about education, explain to new investors what this movement is. In the words, I'll use Chris Berniske, who was our first analyst in 2014 on Bitcoin, and went on to write a book. I think he published it in 2017, called Crypto Assets, the Innovative Investor's Guide to Bitcoin and Beyond. He recently is helping to bring to life, I'd like to think his ARC roots helped him, because he's bringing to life for, the average investor what this really is. This is the internet financial system. Really, that's all this is. The developers in the early days of the internet did not expect any financial services or commerce. In fact, the internet was illegal for consumers to use in the 80s. I remember that. And then email was connected to the internet in 1993, and it took on a new life. But we still didn't expect. No one was going to put their credit card on, even when people were trying. In those early days, I remember saying I wouldn't do it. And of course, you see what's happened. Well, what really should have happened is developers should have added in a layer for financial services native to the internet. That's what blockchain technology is. That's what it is. It's as simple as that. And so it's a very big idea. It's a global idea. And a company like Block and some of the other, of course, Coinbase, they understand this. It's a very big idea. Think about how big the internet is now, and it has miles to go because we've just begun.
I appreciate your time. We're sad that you couldn't be here, and we'll definitely do it again in the future.
Next time. Yes. Thank you so much for letting me do this online. I'm really, really honored to have been a part of this.
All right. We'll see you later.
Okay. Bye, Pomp.